A2 English, My Favourite Book, Part 2. Hello, my name is Jane and I am your English teacher today. Today we are going to ask questions about books again, have another look at my favourite book, and practice how we use the past simple and the past continuous to tell a story. Questions about a book. Can you remember some of them? Can you repeat after me? What is the title? Who is the author? What genre is it? When does it take place? Where does it take place? Who are the main characters? What is it about? What is the plot? And what did you not like about it? So my favourite book again. Can you remember the title? All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. What genre is it? Can you remember? It's historical fiction. When does it take place? It takes place during the Second World War, from 1940 to 1945. Where does it take place? The story starts in Paris, but the main part of the story takes place in Saint-Malo, in the north of France. Who are the main characters? The main character is Marie-Laure, a young French girl who is blind. The other main character is Werner, a young German boy. He joined the army because he didn't think he had a choice. So what is the book about? What is the plot? Let's look at it quickly again. Marie-Laure and her father were living in Paris when the German army invaded in 1940. Quickly, they packed a suitcase, left their flat, and caught the last train to Saint-Malo. In Saint-Malo, they stayed with Marie-Laure's uncle. He was a radio enthusiast. He had a radio in his attic and broadcast music and science programs to the world. While Marie-Laure was staying with her uncle in Saint-Malo, she started to help the French resistance by sending secret radio messages to the British. Werner was also a radio enthusiast. He joined the German army. They trained him and then ordered him to track down enemy radio operators. Eventually, Werner arrived in Saint-Malo to track down the last illegal radio still in operation. One day, Werner was searching the streets when Marie-Laure appeared at her door. It was love at first sight. Werner saw Marie-Laure, noticed she was blind, and at that moment he fell in love and decided he must help her. At the end of the story, they helped each other. So, now let's move on to the grammar. What verb tenses do we use to tell a story? The main tense we use is the past simple. Regular verbs add ed, arrive, arrived, help, helped. Of course, there are a lot of irregular verbs. The verb to be becomes was or were. The verb have becomes had. But we also use the past continuous. We use the past continuous to describe a long action or activity in contrast to a short action. How do we form the past continuous? With was or were plus the ing form of the verb plus ing. For example, I was living, you were living, he, she, it was living, we or they were living. Good. So now look at these two sentences. Which sentence describes three past actions, one after the other? Read the two sentences and you will see one of them has three past actions. Consecutive, we call them, one after the other actions. Marie-Laure and her father were living in Paris when the German army invaded in 1940. Quickly, they packed a suitcase, left their flat, and caught the last train to Saint-Malo. This sentence describes three past actions, one after the other, doesn't it? We use the past simple for most past actions to tell a story. Now look again at these two sentences. Which sentence describes a long action interrupted by a short action? Marie-Laure and her father were living in Paris when the German army invaded in 1940. Yes, this sentence describes the long action or activity, living, which is interrupted or stopped by a short action. The army invaded. We use the past continuous were living and the past simple the army invaded to describe this contrast. Can you look at the first part of the video again and find examples of the past simple in the story used for past actions one after the other? Stop the video and go back and listen to the story again and notice when there is a series of past actions. Good. Let's do it together. Werner joined the German army. They trained him and then ordered him to track down enemy radios. Did you get that one? And Werner saw Marie-Laure, noticed she was blind, and at that moment fell in love and decided he must help her. Did you get that one? Now look again at the first part of the video and find sentences that contain the past continuous and the past simple to describe the contrast. Let's do it together. While Marie-Laure was living with her uncle, she started to help the French resistance. One day when Werner was searching the streets, Marie-Laure appeared at her front door. Good. So now let's move on to practice these sentences. This is a different story, isn't it? And look at the pictures. You have a boy watching television, and then you have him at the door. Can you choose the right tense for the verb? He watched football when his friend arrived. Can you decide which is the past simple and which is the past continuous? He was watching football when his friend arrived. Yep, good. And here are some sentence beginnings, and you have to match them to the correct second part. Here we have, He saw the accident, his friends arrived, the police arrived, and when she was having a shower. That is 4 beginnings of a sentence. And here on the other side are 4 endings. While the robbers were hiding the money, the phone rang, when he was cycling to work, and while he was watching TV. Now stop the video and see if you can match a sentence beginning with the correct sentence ending. And you will find in each sentence we have the past simple, and then in the other half of the sentence we have the past continuous. Might be at the beginning or the end, because sometimes they can change position. Stop the video and have a good look. And then we'll do it together. So he saw the accident when he was cycling to work. I think that makes a good sentence. His friends arrived while he was watching TV. You will see the word while when it's with the past continuous. Sometimes it's will, sometimes it's when. So the police arrived while the robbers were hiding the money, and while or when she was having a shower, the phone rang. Did you make those sentences correctly? Good. So now can you think of some endings for these sentences? He was walking down the road when, so that's the long activity. They were sitting in a cafe chatting when, and then a burglar broke into the house. That's the short action. So can you think of a way to end these sentences? Stop the video and maybe write down the sentences. These are my ideas. He was walking down the road when he saw the cyclist. You see, past continuous in the first part and then past simple in the second. They were sitting in a cafe chatting when they heard a loud bang. A burglar broke in the house while they were sitting in the garden. There's that contrast. Good. Now it's your turn. Think of a story from your favourite book or film. Write some sentences to tell the story. Use the narrative tenses. The past simple for most of your story, but sometimes you'll need that combination, the continuous for a longer activity, interrupted by a short action, which is the past simple. So good luck with that. I would like to see your sentences, but unfortunately I can't. I hope you enjoyed the lesson. Goodbye for now.